Hi, this is session 2, so we've led quite nicely from core stability into breathing. And going back to the previous session in terms of breathing being very much a key component in our core stability, namely being the position and the movement and the ability of the diaphragm to find its free movement. So I often talk about the breath being our internal metronome. And when we think of life nowadays and how quickly life is, how quick life is, work, family life, all sorts of factors, this can very much have an impact on the quality of our breathing. So breathing obviously affects our respiratory system. It also affects the cardiovascular, neurological, gastrointestinal, muscular, and our psychic systems. It has a general effect on our sleep, our memory, energy levels, and our concentration. So I often find that when people come and do a yoga session, or even if they're doing general fitness sessions and they're really focusing on their breath, this can have fundamental changes, even just after 1 or 2 sessions. And one of the biggest responses that I get is, I slept better, I felt calmer. So to me, that's one of the biggest parts and reasons why I do what I do. So breathing lies at the center of our every action and of our every reaction. So if we think of when we chest breathe, I know sometimes that when I take some time out to think about the way that I'm breathing, if I'm feeling a bit stressed, if I'm noticing that my heart rate goes up, if I take some time to center, I absolutely know that I'm chest breathing. So just to come into the space of the diaphragmatic breath, which again, if you've done some of my sessions on the Sweat It members via Facebook, you'll know that, and you'll be familiar with this. You'll know that I do that quite a lot. So we're going to try and find some ways to really kind of tap into the breath via some stretches and some simple methods. So we're going to do some breathing stretches. So I have my wonderful colleague and all sorts of things, Nicole, with me today. So we're going to start off. You can see that Nicole's got a yoga bolster propped underneath her. If you don't have a yoga bolster, which I'm assuming you probably wouldn't, it's fine. You can use a pillow, a couple of pillows, but it's just nice to have your pelvis slightly lifted so you can sit very easily cross-legged. So first of all, we're going to start to open up the front of the body. So we're going to take the hands and the arms behind us, and you're going to interlace your fingers. And then we start to extend the arms. So you're extending your arms, and it feels a little bit like you're drawing your shoulder blades together behind your chest. I want you to take a really big deep inhale as high as you can into the front of the chest, and exhale all the way out. And just repeat that. See if you can lift your inhale into your sternum. And as you find that breath, I want you to start to drop your chin down towards your chest. And you're just going to stay there for 3 more breaths. You're trying to lift your chest up towards your chin as you drop your chin down towards your chest. So you're breathing into the front of your body. After your 3rd breath, it's lovely, nice, you're just going to release out and just come back into your neutral position. And just take a moment just to notice if you feel any difference in the front line. So now we're going to introduce that breathing stretch into the back line of the body. So we're very simply going to reach the arms out in front. You're going to grab your left wrist, and then as you extend the arms out in front of you, on your next inhale, you're going to start to round your back. you're starting to drop your chin down towards your chest and just hold here. You're not holding the breath. You're breathing in through the nose and you're breathing out through the nose. Do that 3 times. And then when you're ready, we're going to slowly release out. And again, we're just tapping into any areas of the body that feel restricted when we, whilst we're doing these breathing stretches. So we're going to now set up breathing into the sides of the body. So I want you to place your right hand as high up towards your armpit as you can. You're going to bring your left fingertips down towards the floor. And then we're going to start to tip slightly over to the side. So just allow your left ear to drop towards your left shoulder. Now you're going to press your right hand quite firmly into your right ribs. And I want you to lift your inhale as high as you can into the right side of your body. And exhale all the way out. Good. You're going to do that 3 more times. Soften your jaw, your face, your lips and your tongue. And then when you're ready, we're just going to reset all the way back through center and we're going to set that immediately up through the other side. So left hand as high up as you can on your your left ribs, high up towards the armpit. And then again, lifting the breath high into the left side of your ribs. Dropping the right ear towards the right shoulder. See if you can feel the expansion of your rib cage as you breathe. And then when you've done your 3 breaths, you're just going to, again, return back to center and just take a few moments in center, just noticing any differences that you might feel having completed those stretches. So now we're going to look at opening the center. So when we think about the information going back to the core stability, the spinal column, when we're opening up the center of the body, sounds a bit grim, but we're basically going to allow a little bit more space within the spinal column. And going also back to the previous breathing stretches that we were doing in the side of the body, of course, the spaces in the body, so thinking about the spaces of the ribs. So we're going to do some very simple roll downs. So if we think about opening up the center of the body, again, going back into the idea that the diaphragm is at the center of the body, and it's very much part of it's the epicenter of the breath. The diaphragm is the epicenter of the breath. So I just want you to stand with your feet hip width apart, and just take a gaze down. So I just want you to notice that your toes are pointing forward, your heels are in line with your toes. Just soften into the knees slightly. And then when you're ready on your exhale, you're just going to start to drop your chin towards your chest and really slowly just breathing fully and deeply in and out through the nose. You're going to take a really slow curl down. Your arms are just hanging heavy. You're going to bend the legs a little bit more as you come down. And you're just going to take a few breaths. Once you've kind of hit the point at which you can't go any further, you're just going to hold. You're breathing into the back line of your body. Big, deep breaths. See if you can start to fill the back line of your body with your inhale. And as you exhale, imagine that you're taking your exhale all the way out through the soles of your feet. Now, when you're ready, after your 3 breaths, on your inhale, you're going to start your really slow curl back up. Your chin stays dropped towards your chest. Your arms stay hanging heavy. If your fingertips are kind of stroking up the front of your legs, it might feel very nice, but it means that you're not fully releasing into the shoulders. So we're going to open into the side of the body a little bit more. Nicole's going to turn her chin towards her right shoulder. She's going to keep her feet pointing in the same direction. Nothing else changes. But now we take that same movement. So we start to drop the chin towards the right shoulder, softening into the knees. And again, slowly make your way all the way down into your roll. Breathing fully and deeply, take your time, taking a few breaths once you can't go any further. Notice any areas of restriction, noticing any areas of tightness. And then when you're ready, on your inhale, you start to slowly come all the way back up. Really nice. The chin is the last thing to lift, and then you're just going to do that the final side. So your chin over your left shoulder, and then really slowly on your exhale, really, really with little effort. This is effortless movement. It's very passive. We're just working with the breath, softening into the knees. Now, as we're taking the movement slightly over to the side, I do want you to notice if your knees are moving in the same direction as your chin. Don't allow this to happen. See if you can keep your knees moving in the same direction as your toes. Once you've taken a few breaths in your forward fold, again, you're going to start your slow curl all the way back up. Come back into neutral, and again, just take a few moments, just noticing any differences. So diaphragmatic breathing and diaphragmatic release. So we're still running along the theme of opening up the front line of the body. And you can see here that Nicole is propped up. So again, she's got a bolster and a couple of blankets underneath her, but actually you could use cushions and blankets. So you want to be fairly high, but you definitely want your feet into the floor. So you want to feel supported. And then if you could just bring your arms a little bit further out to the side. Yeah, lovely, perfect. Now, as we lie here, we want a little bit of a protrusion in the lower ribs. So start to see if you can arc your spine a little bit further up. So there's a little bit more of an active front body stretch here. And then you're just going to breathe. You're just going to hold space, and you're just going to focus on your breathing. So again, going back into the importance of free movement, that 360 free movement of the diaphragm in terms of finding our true core stability. This position is fantastic for really feeling that movement in the center of your body. We've got a little bit of gravity helping us here. So this is why it's releasing the diaphragm, because we're not standing up. We're just allowing the diaphragm to release. And you're very simply just taking really nice, big, deep inhale and long, slow exhale. Now, ideally, you would probably do this for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, probably tops half an hour, but I guess a lot of people would get quite bored or probably fall asleep if doing this for half an hour. But it's a great position, as I say, to really kind of come into the space where you're kind of noticing, you're reconnecting, you're rebalancing with what's actually going on in your body. Does that feel nice, Nicole?
It's lovely.
Yeah.
I might fall asleep.
She actually looks like she's going to fall asleep. It's also a really nice position to, again, tap into any areas of discomfort, Any areas where, you might feel like you're holding on to any restriction. Good. So when we look at our breathing capacity, we often think about, well, I can breathe really well because I can take a really big, deep inhalation. So we kind of kid ourselves into thinking that we can increase our lung capacity by working like that. But actually we have to do the reverse. So in order to create more resilience with the breath, and in order to kid our bodies and our body's response into becoming less reactive, we actually have to extend our exhale. Now what happens is when we start to extend our exhale, we feed into the parasympathetic nervous system. So as I say, we're kidding the body into thinking that perhaps we're more relaxed than maybe the environment around us. And what happens then as an automatic response of that is that the inhale gets deeper anyway. So this is how we work with this. And again, it's very simple. You can see here Nicole is set up. It's a very easy position. We're really supported. Now, I like using blankets in this particular method because, again, we're supporting our masses and spaces. And what I find with a lot of people that I've worked with in the past, when they're lying on their backs, is that they can have a really pronounced space in their cervical spine, in their neck. And this means that they're overly stretching into the throat. It can cause a sense of constriction in the throat, and also often with those people, and this could be you, and if it is, it's very common, so there's nothing to worry about. It just means that you should have something propped underneath you. It often means also that you're probably more likely to snore, but I'm not making any assumptions. So you're going to lie here, and you're just going to focus again on your breathing. So you're just going to take natural breaths. And again, those of you that have worked with me before in the online sessions, the live sessions, I like to visualize the movement of the breath, moving all the way up the center of the body, all the way up through the spine, and as you exhale, all the way back down and out. I want you to scan your body as you sink into the breath. I want you to scan and notice your legs, your feet, your knees, your hips, your torso, your shoulders, your arms, your hands, your neck, your head. Anywhere you feel like you're holding on, I just want you to release. And then I want you to start to extend your exhale. So you're inhaling up the length of the spine. And as you exhale all the way down and out. And I like to use the visualization that as you inhale, it feels like you're filling the very top tips of your lungs. And then as you exhale all the way out to the very bottom tips. Now, a very common thing to do in a sort of more traditional yoga class is to count the breath. I'm not personally a big fan of this, but I do offer it to people if they like that. So you could, as you lie here, start to maybe in your head think about inhaling for a count of 4. And then as you exhale for a count of 6. Inhaling for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling for a count of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. and just continue with that. But what I don't want you to step into is if you start to feel like you're gasping for your in-breath. I don't want you to start to step into those realms. So if you notice that if in counting the breath, you start to feel like you're kind of wanting to glug for air, just drop the count and just see if you can naturally extend your exhale. And very similar to the diaphragm release, the position that we were in previously, again, you can stay here for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And the longer that you get to stay, the more we're starting to really retrain the breath. Because like any bad patterns, any bad movement patterns, any bad eating habits, anything that we might pick up, we pick up bad breathing habits too. So this stuff does take a little bit of time and focus. So if you can invest that time, it's definitely worth doing it. And again, not only for the breath, not only for the diaphragm, but for your nervous system. Okay.